This is pretty interesting. We've talked about that people need to organize along class lines and forget it's not a left-right issue anymore. It is not lefties against righties. It isn't, even though everybody at the corporate media like the Young Turks, The Intercept, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, they all want you to think these are left-right issues. They're not. Ending the war, not a left-right issue. Living wage, not a left-right issue. Healthcare, not a left-right issue. Wall Street, not a censorship. All these are not left-right issues. These are us against them. And that's what they're afraid of realizing. So when you go to a live Jimmy Dore show, what's happening in that room is what scares the shit out of the establishment. People on the left, people on the right, people in the middle, black, white, old, young, religious, atheists, all coming together to realize we have a common enemy, and that enemy is the oligarchy that did a controlled demolition of our economy over the last 2 years while enriching them and having us hate each other over a vaccine that didn't work this way they said it did. And I'm not going to do that. And so guess what? Somebody went and talked to a Trumper, a socialist, communist went and talked to a Trumper. And friend of the show, Jay from the Revolutionary Blackout Network, he said, proof that when you talk about issues from a layman's perspective, people will agree with you, even if they claim to be conservative, because it's a class issue. Many of us should take a lesson from this. Thanks to SLC Socialist for showing me this. So let's watch this. So here's a guy who's a socialist going to talk to a Trumper conservative, and watch how he doesn't hate him. Watch how he finds ways that they're alike, that they can work together on in agreement. And this is what scares the shit out of them. And you watch how they're trying to shit on this because of it. Wow. That's like when I interviewed a Boogaloo Boy. They all freaked out. We can. Yes, we can. And watch this.
In order to stop the communist agenda, we need to get rid of the big banks.
Right.
Karl Marx, no one knew who he was until the big banks distributed all of his literature.
Right.
Yeah. So in order to get rid of communism, we need to get rid of the big banks.
Yeah.
Get rid of big pharma.
Right.
What else? Big tech.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's like...
So this guy, he gets that there are a handful of oligarchs that have way too much control and power in our culture and society. They get that. Okay. Just like we do.
Like these landlords that are coming in and buying hundreds of properties. You don't even know what corporation.
Like China is doing it, and Bill Gates.
Zillow.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot.
So he gets that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a complete free market guy. No, he gets that there's nefarious, powerful, well-moneyed forces that are wrecking our home market in the United States, and we should do something about it. We do too.
But people here are very fed up, and they're ready to collectivize and sort of seize the means of production.
So he's saying to this guy a Marxist idea that the workers should seize the means of productions. Workers at companies and corporations, instead of just being hourly employees, they should actually own the business. So they have now owned the means of production, and it's not owned by one capitalist oligarch who can pick up his company and move it to another country, devastating the city it was in, and then exploiting even more desperate people in another desperate situation, like, say, in Mexico or Thailand or wherever, Bangladesh. And so he's saying, well, shouldn't the workers collectivize and then own the company? Watch what this guy says back. Which is this, by the way, that's what Dr. Richard Wolff says on this show all the time. Watch what he says.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's why I support unions so much. You know,
well,
So this guy says that's why I support unions. And you could see he's the, unions. I've always had a reflex to not like unions. But watch what he does say.
It's funny. I work for actually not this show, the other show I had an earlier, for a company not too far from here called Liberty Pump, non-union. They let the owners of the company sold a third of the company to the employees, so the employees have ownership of it.
That's exactly what Mark says. So he's saying that's a great thing. He goes, I worked for this company, some pump company. It's a non-union company. People love the company, and the owners sold a third of the company to them. So now they're owners in it. So now they get a decision-making role at the company, the workers. And he sees that as a positive. Now, most people, corporate Democrats, Republicans, all of them, establishment will tell you that's horrible. That's communism. He's saying, no, that's empowering the workers. That's what this Trumper is saying to a communist. They're agreeing. And if you don't think this makes the establishment shit their pants, you've been watching too much corporate news. Because it does. Here we go.
Just a lot better.
Well, they're collectivized.
So it's a lot better. He's saying now the ownership of the company is in the hands of the workers, which is a lot better. Let me back it up.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's why I support unions so much. You know,
Well, it's funny. I work for actually not this shirt, the other shirt I had it earlier, for a company not too far from here called Liberty Pump, non-union. They let the owners of the company sold a third of the company to the employees. So the employees have ownership of it, which is a lot better. And
well, they're collectivizing.
right.
Cooperative.
It's an ESOP.
Yeah, the workers own
It's an
that.
ESOP.
It's an ESOP. I never heard that term before. Can you look it up?
Yep.
ESOP, what that means? E-SOP, SOP.
Is
ESOP?
that like how they do in Germany, Connor?
ESOP?
Yeah, with the
Oh,
they
well,
have a share.
the
of the
union,
company.
the unions are on the board of director. They sit on the board
Yeah, right.
in Germany. Did you find out what it is?
Is an employee benefit plan that enables employees to own part or all of the company they work for.
There it is. That's an ESOP. Here we go.
And then their families work there, their dad, the sons work there, and that's typically where America started. A lot of families did that.
Do you see how that's a little bit more productive than calling this guy who obviously is of good faith, calling him all kinds of names? Do you see how this would be more productive? But the establishment, the Democrats and the corporate media, which they want you to hate this guy, and they want that guy to hate you, and they want us to keep hating each other so they can keep the status quo. And that's what keeps the status quo. And who likes the status quo? The establishment, the corporations, military-industrial complex, and Wall Street. They love the status quo. And that's what us hating him and him hating us and us fighting amongst each other, that's what enables the status quo. We got to overturn the status quo. And this was a great job. So this is how I convert my Uber drivers from the Midwest and South on my work trips. Find a common frustration and get them to understand that it's a class war. And they don't want you to know that it's a class war. The squad doesn't ever talk about a class war. A class war. Which politicians talk about a class war?
They want a race war before a class war.
They want a race war before a class war. Does Bernie Sanders even talk about a class war anymore? Does he even bring it up? Does he even mention millionaires and billionaires? Because 60 of them donated to Joe Biden, his good friend, who he now carries water for on 24/7. He's abandoned you if you haven't noticed.
He used to say millionaires and billionaires, and then he made the millions, so he just says billionaires.
Now he just says billionaires. This is how we know that it's the propaganda that's divided us. The ideas themselves are popular, even with people who hate communism. So it shows they don't actually hate communism. They hate what capitalists told them communism is, which is usually just capitalism. The populist left and right see a lot of the same problems. The issue comes in with the left's obsession with identity politics and pushing for policies that empower the very establishment they claim to be against. Same can be said for the right. So I think that was amazing, and thanks to Jay for posting that. I don't even know who that guy is who did it. I don't know who this guy is.
SLC Socialist, it says.
But this is the guy who showed it to him. But so I don't know if that's that guy.
Oh, was it?
So down there it says, I can't even read. It's blurry. Let's see. Maybe if I go like this.
Well,
In
look
order
at
to
it.
No, I'm sorry. Can you read that? I can't.
Walter Masterson?
Walter Masterson. All right. Well, great job, Walter Masterson. That was fantastic. More of that. Less of the Less of the, they take everything. Even when the right wing came around to hating the FBI, left wingers like Nina Turner and the Young Turks, they'll go, fuck you, right wing. You can't hate the FBI. That's what we did. It's just, they're so stupid.
Well, if you just got into the establishment, you don't want to ruin it now. Somebody made a really funny, it's on YouTube, it's supposed to be like a Star Wars knockoff where they take over the Death Star. Like now we can destroy it. And then they're like, well, we don't got to destroy it just yet. It's pretty nice. We just paint it. That sums it up.
That is. Hey, we're coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Detroit, Los Angeles, Spokane, Tacoma, Denver. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets for all our live shows. See you there.